Well, let's get in my colleagues in order to know more on this. We have Akhilesh joining us. We also have Gauri joining us, as well as Rishabh and Priyanka joining us from the United States. Gauri, over to you first. What has changed and what led to this U-turn is anyone's guess. But how different will the footing be this time around?
See, this is very significant, and one must also see this in the context of the olive branch that President Trump had extended last week when he said that the India-US relationship is extremely significant. Now, after that is when that was an intent, a message of intent of how the relationship is being viewed seriously, despite the recent setbacks that happened due to Trump administration's rants against India. After that, this is an extremely significant step where now both parties, led by President Trump, indicate that trade negotiations, trade talks are not in deep freeze. They will move forward. There are some specific contentious issues which have delayed the talks, and it seemed that they were in deep freeze. And the big headline really is that isn't the case. The trade negotiations between the two sides will continue, and there is an effort to thrash out a trade deal. Now, will that be limited in scope? Will that keep out some of the contentious issues which have delayed the talks? Is a separate matter altogether. The fact that there is an intent and a clear direction and a roadmap to take these talks forward is extremely significant. It also means that in the midst of all the vitiated atmosphere regarding trade, regarding sanctions, regarding Russian oil, there is a focus in Washington as well that the trade deal with India is extremely important. And I'll tell you why. One also needs to keep this in the mind from Washington's point of view. India is a market which is growing at 7.8%. India is a market where we've cut down GST because we're looking to further build on this economic momentum in terms of consumption. Can American economy and can American companies afford to stay out of this booming market? That's the question that many American CEOs must be wanting an answer from, and which also could be a factor in terms of pushing these trade talks. So I think the fact that there is intent, there is a roadmap, and there's a direction coming from the highest level in Washington is extremely significant. Hopefully, this will put an end to Peter Navarro's rants, which unfortunately have derailed some of the strategic relationship and its importance.
Right, Gauri, let's just also get in Priyanka. Priyanka, the Democrats had reacted to Trump's singling out India. Take us through what's at stake here for the US and how equipped is the US to replace its exports with, say, homegrown products? Does it really have the infrastructure in place, the manpower and all that it takes? And wouldn't it cost even more if they were to manufacture everything that they import out of countries like India?
Well, looking ahead, both nations have set up an ambitious goal, which is to more than double their bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030, right? This mission is known as Mission 500, and it reflects, to me, a vision for deeper economic ties, as we already do have economic ties between both countries. But achieving this goal will require navigating complexities like energy, trade, tariff negotiations, aligning economic priorities. The path to $500 billion, that's a huge amount, is not just about increasing trade volume, but it's also about harmonizing strategies to ensure mutual benefit. So while it may lead to clashes between the Democrats and the Republicans here, I think PM Modi and Donald Trump they've both stated multiple times they're very, very good friends. They do have a very positive relationship, and quite frankly, they know for a fact, both leaders know that neither can do without each other as of right now. So I think that they're more than willing to work together. This is more, it goes deeper than trade tariffs. It does go into geopolitics as well. Both countries look to check China as well. That is very, very important. So as PM Modi said, they are very natural partners, the US and India. I think that moving forward will be very positive.
Right, absolutely. And Akhilesh joining us in order to get us more on this. Akhilesh, the Prime Minister went on to say that he will continue backing the farmers, and that's something that's non-negotiable. This time around, do you think Prime Minister Modi is going to be open, at least in order to have the backs when it comes to the exporters, to have the back of the exporters of India? And take us through, the kind of changes that the Prime Minister had made in the recent past in this regard.
Well, Prime Minister Modi has been very clear from day one that the interests of the farmers community and also of the MSMEs and the fisheries and the dairy sectors will be kept in mind. They are paramount. There will be no compromise on those interests. And for India, it is very important because half of the population is involved in the agriculture sector. We have seen that the government faced protests when the farm laws were introduced and the government had to roll back those farm laws because government is sensitive towards the political importance of the farmers community also. So that is why the government will not compromise on the interests of the farmer. This is the red line which has been drawn by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In fact, his emphasis has been on Make in India for the past 10 years or so. In fact, on Monday, when he was talking to the NDA MPs regarding the vice presidential election, at that point of time, also he told them to organize Swadeshi Melas in their respective constituencies from Navratri till Diwali and asked them to use this period to aware the people about the Make in India products. So this is very crucial period. You know that this is the main shopping time. And that point of time, he wants people to benefit from the GST reforms and also from to promote Swadeshi so that the manufacturing sector can get a boost. We know that the manufacturing sector has suffered because of the tariffs imposed by Donald Trump, and India is looking towards this trade negotiations with the question mark whether this punitive 25% tariff which has been imposed by Trump for India purchasing oil from Russia, will it be rolled back or not? If that is rolled back before the trade negotiations take place, that will create another very positive atmosphere. So India is hoping for that. So that is something which has to be looked into. And apart from that, India is also looking for a stimulus package for the exporters who have suffered because of the tariffs imposed by Trump administration. So this question was posed to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman yesterday in NDTV's GST conclave, and she told us that yes, India is considering a package of sort, but there are various inputs which are being sought before finalizing that.
Right. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for breaking it down for us. To know more on this, we also have Rishabh Bhatnagar joining us. Rishabh, of course, the Prime Minister has gone on to sound very hopeful as far as talks going forward is concerned. How soon can this come about? Is there a timeline or a time frame that is being, spoken of?
I believe in the next 20 days or so, it's going to be very crucial. The next 20 days is when you can expect some sort of either a trade delegation coming in from the US to India or Indian negotiators visiting Washington for the 6th round of in-person negotiations. Remember, this is in August 25th. August 25th is when the 5th round of which is when the 6th round of in-person negotiations was scheduled for. But with tariffs hitting around August 27th, with the additional tariffs also coming into play, those talks were scrapped. And now, even at the time, officials had told me that those talks will be rescheduled. And clearly, with the direction that the Prime Minister has given that these discussions should be concluded at the earliest, it is very, very likely that within the next 20 days, we'll see some action on that front. What's also very important is that the fall deadline, which is around September and October, which is the main target for Prime Minister Modi as well as President Trump for the first tranche of the bilateral trade agreement, that is something that is also to be kept in mind. So that first tranche deadline remains very, very, very much on track, given the fact that India had already given some sort of a deal to the United States, but clearly there was very, very much a lack of political will at that point in time. And now we're seeing a complete flip coming in over the last 3 days or so. We're seeing a lot of thaw in these tariff tensions between US and India. So over the next 20 days is a very keen, it's something to track with respect to these trade talks.